So I'm currently on the Greenway. To the bus stop. Today I'm going on my last research hike to Killarney. I'm going to be doing a loop involving Lough Leane, which is center stage for the folklore that I've been researching. But I'm also going to pass through Killarney National Park. Hopefully get to see Torc Waterfall, Muckross House, and Muckross Lake as well. So very excited, and we'll see how it goes. And with that, I believe I've just entered Killarney National Park. I didn't record the hike here because it was just a road, kind of boring, and a lot of cars, so. But now we're gonna start recording. You can just see Lough Leane there through the trees. There's gonna be a better shot of the lake up ahead, but there it is. And since there's not too much going on besides some pretty foliage and nice smells and more ferns than I was expecting. There are a lot of these ferns, but I'll tell the story behind Lough Leane. So this story is part of the Finn cycle, and so that means it involves, the characters within the lifespan of Finn McCool, legendary giant warrior hero. So one day, Finn McCool and his son Oisin and a party of Fiona warriors were hunting on the shores of Lough Leane, and they came across a beautiful woman with golden hair and porcelain skin riding a white horse. And the women approached them and they asked, where she was from, and she said that she was a princess, the daughter of the king of the land of eternal youth, which was probably why she had such nice skin. And they were just so amazed at her beauty, and they asked, had any mortal man claimed her heart? And she said, yes, in fact, I'm in love with Oisin, son of Finn McCool. I've heard of all his exploits, and I've fallen in love with the stories that I've heard, and so I've come to take him away to the land of eternal youth and make him my husband. And so Oisin thought this was a pretty good deal, a really beautiful wife, and moving to a place where he'd never grow old. So he went with her. And the land of eternal youth, the entrance is under the lake of Lough Leane, which we're coming up upon right now. And he spent what he thought was 3 years there, spoiler alert, and he had 3 children her name was Neve, the princess of the land of the eternal youth. And we'll stop here because this looks like a good stop. Time passed, and while he really loved his new life under the lake, he started to miss Ireland and the Fiona and his father. So he asked Neve if he could return to Ireland to see them. And Neve kind of got this sad look in her eyes, and she said, you can return to Ireland, but 300 years have passed, things are not going to be the same. You know, everyone you've known and loved will be gone. But he insisted he wanted to go anyway, so she let him borrow her white horse, and she said, "Oisín, make sure that you don't step foot on the ground. Never leave the mount of my white horse, because if you do, all your years will come back to you." And he said, "All right, I can do that." And so he left the land of the eternal youth, left Lough Leane, and he rode the white horse out into Ireland. And much like Niamh said, you know, nothing was the same. The houses and castles that he remembered were gone. The people that he knew and loved were gone. He couldn't find any of the Fianna anywhere. In fact, he came across St. Patrick in his travels and asked him about the Fianna, and he said that they had been long gone, although there was a story of one who went to live in the land of eternal youth, but if he was even alive, St. Patrick didn't know. And so Oisín went on his way. He circled back towards Lough Leane. He had had enough of meeting strangers and all these familiar places made unfamiliar by time. And on his way back to Lough Leane, he went through a pass that now bears his name, Oisín's Pass, and a bunch of men were trying to lift a boulder, clear the boulder from the road, and they were being crushed by the boulder. But, you know, Oisín, being son of a giant, one of the Fianna warriors, pretty strong man, so he said, "I can clear that boulder with one hand." And so he leaned over and picked the boulder up with one hand and threw it aside, and the men were amazed. But the problem was, although he was strong enough to bear the weight of the boulder, the stirrup of his saddle was not, and so it snapped, and Oisín fell to the ground, where immediately, upon touching the soil of Ireland, he aged 300 years. And that's where the story ends. Kind of sad. Interestingly enough, reminiscent of the Japanese Urashima Taro, with the youth, the fisherman that goes to live under the sea in the sea palace with the princess, and he thinks 3 days have passed, but 100 years have passed or so, and he returns home and no one he knows is there. So interesting that we have these similarities between these vastly different cultures' folk tales. But that is the story behind Lough Leane, and you've probably been listening to the waves as I've been narrating, but I'll show you the lake now. There will be better views as I'm rounding the lake, but now I'm headed to Muckross House, which is the property that was passed hands several times, but the last owner was a California businessman who bought the house and the estate as a wedding gift for his daughter, but she unfortunately passed away a few years later, and so he and his daughter's husband ultimately decided to donate the house and the 11,000 acres, I want to say, that the house is on, to Ireland to make into their first national park, and that is why we have Killarney National Park. More land was added later on when an Irish nobleman donated his lands as well. So coming up upon Muckross House soon, and Muckross House is next to Muckross Lake, where they did a sonar of it, I think in 2003, and detected an object the size of a small house living in the lake. And that is where rumors of Mucky, the Muckross monster, very similar to the Loch Ness monster, that is where rumors of his existence, when rumors of his existence started. It's a pretty little bridge. And then to my other side is the lake. Another shot of Lough Leane, the entrance to Tiernanog, land of the eternal youth. It's so autumnal here. Haven't really seen much foliage in Ireland just because there aren't as many trees around as Jersey. But I'm definitely getting my fill now. Check out the little islands and rocks and birds. So pretty. And it wouldn't be Ireland if there wasn't a little bit of rain. Some kind of old building here. That's neat. Or a wall, at least. Now it has to be a building because there's a doorway. That is a big rock. These trees are so witchy. They look like they have giant nests in them. Look at them. Oh yeah, and there's Muckross House. I'd just like to live in a house like that. Some nice hedges on one side of Muckross House, and I'm enjoying some lunch. This is my current view. Imagine waking up to that view every morning. So now I'm walking down a path called, I believe it's called Arthur Young's Walk, and it will take me between the two lakes. But what's really cool is walking on this path, I can sort of imagine what Ireland would have looked like before all the trees were taken down. Really beautiful little spot. This is a moss lover's paradise. Look at all this moss! When I was a kid, I used to try and collect moss from the park. And I would try and pot it when I got home, but it always died. So that little kid right now is elated. Ooh, that's pretty. So now we're coming up on the meeting of the waters. We'll have one lake on the left and the other lake on the right. And I believe it's Lough Leane over here and Muckross over there. And I did actually pass a small little lake, but I couldn't see it from the trail. Oh, wow. This is stunning. There's Muckross. And then on the other side, Lough Leane. Hey, there's the bridge that I was at. Check it out. Almost to Torc Waterfall. Can you hear it? Okay, we are listening to the wrong thing. That's not Torc Waterfall, but we are close, I promise. Got a little sweaty because I'm running. Want to make it back before sunset. But this place holds really fond memories for me because last year my best friend Alana and I came to Torc Waterfall, and the specific tour that we were on, God, we were shameless flirts. We flirted so hard with our tour guide, but it was hilarious. So this place will always hold a special spot in my heart, as will our tour guide, Danny. And we made it to the waterfall. On my way back now. The mountains look really pretty right now. So I'm gonna try and snap this. I guess I'm not snapping a pic. Snap a video? I don't even know. It's that stage of the day, but there it is. In this lighting, you can almost believe that there's a land of eternal youth down there. And I almost thought I was gonna make it through the entire day without seeing some deer. But there are two types of deer in Killarney National Park. The Irish red deer and the Japanese shika. And the red deer only live here in the whole world, whereas the shika, of course, live in Japan as well. And these deer ahead of me, I'm gonna flip the camera. I'm not sure which they are, but if I could guess, they look like the Irish red deer. Wow, look at the antlers on that guy. And I'm guessing this because I've seen shika before, and they're spotted. But pretty neat. I treated myself to a little short carriage ride because I covered a lot of miles today, a little over 16 in total, and the carriage ride was lovely. The horse's name was Billy, the driver's name was Sean, and they were both very nice. There's the Abbey. Night is almost upon us. Ooh.